Hello,
Hi Ken, how are you? Good to
I'm
see you
good.
again.
It's great to see you too. Fantastic. How are things in London? Are things good?
Yeah, it's actually the weather is amazing, and
Mm-hmm.
starting from Monday, we can get out a bit more often with a bigger group of people, and hopefully
Okay.
by 15th of June, there's more things gonna open, some non-essential shops, so we can get out
Nice.
and be in the parks or just spend more time with outdoor and enjoying the beautiful weather. Yeah,
Wonderful,
after all
wonderful.
the
It's great. It's
yeah.
really great to see you.
Mm,
I think we're just going to give a bit of a background to everyone out
mhm.
there. Nga was
I-
unfortunately was a victim of COVID-19 and has recently recovered from it. She attended a few shows in Paris and in Milan, and unfortunately caught COVID very, very much in its infancy when all of us were unsure about, the virus. And she's taken a break from social media for the past, I think, almost 3 months. And she's back and she
Correct.
wants to tell her story. And that's what we're here today at Harper's Bazaar Singapore and with me, Kenneth. We're here to let Nga tell her story and her side of things after some of the newspaper reports went out. So, Nga, the platform is yours today on IG Live to tell us your story. Maybe just go right back to the start in February when you went to Milan to attend the Gucci show.
Yes, that's correct. So, on I think this was 18th of February. That was when I was super excited and honored to be invited by Gucci for the first time to attend the show in Milan. And back at that
Mm-hmm.
time, I didn't really have um, that fear sentiment, because of course the virus is already started, and it was in other corner of the world, like in Asia. But when I arrived in Milan, life went on very normally. So attended the show, and I didn't even attend sort of like any party, after party or event, just the show. And the next day I flew back to London. So it was literally a 24 hours trip. And then a week
Right,
later, I took the train to Paris to also attend YSL.
right.
And the day after, the day after, I also flew back to London. And that
Mm-hmm.
is when because of course not like all the fashion attendees, this time I did not stay in Milan or Paris for long because of all the commitment for work and things in London. Yeah. And then of course the first case in Italy for fatality of coronavirus happened, I think, around end of February, and it
Mm-hmm.
all came up. We see at the news it's blowing up with all the cluster of cases, and it came as a shock to everybody because that, of course, became an epicenter of the virus in Europe. So what happened was beginning of March, around the 3rd of March, I
Mm-hmm.
start to I had a work trip, so I had to sort of cancel some of my other show in Paris because
Mm-hmm.
I had to make the priority right.
Mm-hmm.
So I flew. I was on a work trip to another city in Europe, and then this is when it all sort of gone down.
Right.
Yeah, and of course, when I was diagnosed with the virus, it was came at a state of very confused and shock. I didn't know why, how did I catch it? Because of course, the incubation time was always from 2 to 14 days, and I
Right.
immediately contact the brand itself, Gucci and YSL, and they informed me that none of the people that I saw during the time I was attending the show show any symptoms. And then when I was
Right.
back in London before my business trip, after Paris, I've seen a lot of friends, and we
Mm-hmm.
went out for dinner. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
immediately they seek out to get tested,
Mm-hmm.
and they got test negative, you know. So then it made me realize that, of course, when you were confused and you were shocked, you didn't piece together the puzzle, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? But then now I came to realization that probably I would have caught it when I was actually in London. And then 5 or 6 days later, the symptoms started when I actually went on this business trip, and
Right, right,
and I was blessed enough to have found out and to to discover that I contracted the virus. And ever
right.
since then, I was told to isolate myself straight away. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then after a week, my symptom become much more worse. I was just fighting with my temperature. It go from 38 to 42
Mm-hmm,
degrees in one single day.
mm-hmm.
You cough a lot. You felt like going to the bathroom is such a hassle. You didn't think of your breathing, as it's like such a
Right,
natural thing we do. But now I feel like it's so difficult, to keep on the rhythm of breathing. Like you have to make an
right.
effort to breathe. So then I was hospitalized after a week of showing my symptom. Of course, being completely isolated,
Mm-hmm.
in the accommodation. And so after that, I was transported to the hospital and stay there for 2 weeks, receiving
Right,
treatments, and then after 2 weeks, I got test negative twice, and I got discharged from there.
right.
So that is how
So,
it also
right.
unfolded for me. Yeah, and
So
it
I think
was.
it's important
Mhm.
to let the viewers know, guys, that Nga attended the show in at Gucci first in Milan, and then she went spent a week in London, and then she went to attend the show, YSL show in Paris. Was there for less
Correct.
than 24 hours, and came back to London. And if I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, it is likely that Nga actually contracted, looking back, that she actually contracted COVID-19 in London itself. But because of all the timing and because you were traveling through to another city in Europe, things got confused. And I remember that I attended the Saint Laurent show in Paris. And then
Yes,
this
you.
news broke up, that Nga and his sister, and they were, big fans of Saint Laurent, and both of them contracted COVID-19. And of course, all of us got into this blind panic. And, I think it was a very unfortunate situation for Nga and her family that, because COVID-19 was still very much in its infancy. No one knew very much about it. It was just happening in Europe. And because Nga unfortunately caught the virus and, traveled with it, so people were understandably very, very worried. And I think it was very wonderful and responsible of you to immediately inform the brands, both Gucci and Saint Laurent, and immediately got yourself hospitalized in the city that you were in. And basically, how long did you actually stay in the city that you were in Europe?
Yeah, so before I was actually so I came and arrived, and it was a week before, a couple of days before I got tested, and then it turns out I was
Right,
positive, and then I still remained at my own accommodation and isolated as the professional had advised me. But then, of course, after a week of battling the symptoms and everything, I felt much much worse, So that's why
right.
I thought I need to seek out for help, because I couldn't sort of like contain the symptoms and deal with it myself, because it went a bit more
What were
severe.
the symptoms? What were the
Uh,
symptoms that you went through when you
yeah, so I
were
had
self-isolating?
so I actually had an episode of just I felt it was impossible to breathe. Like my chest was super tight. It's like someone sort of like tried to step on my chest. And then when you toss and turn during when you sleep, when you got up and you try to go to the loo, it felt like such a burden. And that when I thought that what, I think I need further help. And of
Right.
course, when you think about that, I during this time I also try to contact, of course, the professionals and the my friends, my photographer, my makeup artist, who actually helped me, to beautify during the shows, and they
Yeah.
turn out all be okay. So that was, a minor relief for me, that, knowing that they were all doing okay, because they were in contact, direct contact with me for all this period
Hmm.
of time when I was in Paris for the show. You know what I mean? So then, back to the point, for the symptom, and then you start sort of like reading a lot online about how to fight the virus at home.
Right.
You boost the immune
Right.
system. You wake up with a glass of warm water. You
Right.
try to make some ginger tea, keep your feet
Okay.
warm, and get the zinc. But of course, the virus was still active in my body, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel that I got better after a week staying at the accommodation. So
Right.
that's when I got hospitalized, and I had a bit more severe treatment to the virus,
Right.
which including oxygen mask,
Okay.
oxygen nebulizer,
Okay.
different sort of antibiotic infusion. And then my
Mm-hmm.
conditions slowly become a bit better. And after two
Mm-hmm.
weeks, the doctor decided to test me again, to see if there's still a sign of virus. And then after two
Did,
consecutive tests, I got discharged and
did you ever
quarantined
feel,
again. Mm-hmm.
right? Did you ever feel at any point that you might die?
To be honest with you, you know what? There was a point when I said I was super, because you were like physically so ill, and
Mm-hmm.
mentally you under so much pressure from all different direction. So what I felt like is not only I felt physically ill, but you feel like it's like the end of the world basically. You feel like
Right.
you're in a some sort of fantasy and reality and movie that's actually happening to you now. So what I've actually learned from this is, I try to remain super calm, and super
Mm-hmm.
composed in the situation that I'm not sure of the outcome. How is it going to be? What is it going to
Mm-hmm.
be like? Because of course, when you were sick, normally we would just kind of like physically battling and focus on getting better. But now, of
Yeah.
course, you get in all this media pressure, questions from families, friends from all over the world
Right.
asking how you are. And you just try to sort of like contain yourself and focus more on your well-being. And that for
Why
me
did
is,
you why did
mhm.
you sort of take yourself off social media? Was that really a battleground as well? I mean, you had already a battleground of germs in your body. So
That's
was there
true.
another battleground on social media?
Yeah, because I felt there was the time that I have to challenge my priority to see what was best for me at that time, and put like a reset button just to purely focus on myself, my well-being,
Mm-hmm.
and focus on getting
Mm-hmm.
better, because I know that after that I can come back on the platform and use it to tell my story and to just raising awareness and promote a little bit of changes, like use it differently than before. But you always need
Right.
that kind of sense of pausing to reflect,
Right.
because otherwise you just keep on receiving all this negativity while not focused on yourself at this most crucial time, because health at the end of the day is the greatest gift and asset that one can have. So
I think
I came
the
to. Hmm.
a great point that, sorry not to interrupt you, but just to put it in focus for everyone out
Yeah.
there, that Nga was identified unfortunately as fashion's first COVID-19 victim,
Yeah.
and she had to go through the whole exercise of getting better. She went through all the symptoms, she was hospitalized, and all this time you were effectively alone. Your family was still back in Vietnam. You were by yourself in a space in Europe, and you went through the hospitalization, you went through the isolation, you went through so many things mentally and physically with with the virus. And I think, what do you think were the lessons that you learned out of it? Because you spent so much time alone, and I think you very astutely pointed out that in the past you used your social media in a different way. Maybe it was a lifestyle of glamour and fashion and style and parties. And after getting off social media, having contracted the virus, you want to use your platform to spread a lot more positivity. And you said you learned some things while you were in isolation as well. Could you share that with us?
Yeah, so of course, it's like I see the silver lining in everything. So of course, being by
Mm-hmm.
myself and without the ability to sort of like travel, like what I normally do, because before social media is always a platform of entertainment for me. You
Yeah.
share what you eat, you share where you go, and thankfully, it's attract a lot of followers and supporter that interested in what I do. So
Right.
from this, I'm making a pause. I actually had more time to reflect on myself, do things that I
Right.
don't normally get to do, learn things and discover, some inner hobby that I was
Mhm.
never able to do before. Like I started baking, and I'm not
Amazing.
completely a kitchen girl ever. I barely like to step in the kitchen. So but now I it's like my ritual every day, every like 8 or 9 a.m. I wake up. I do a walk in the park and I would bake something. It's
Right.
like it's like joy. And then of course I share it to the neighbor. I
Right.
share it to the loved ones, and it's a joyful feeling when they enjoying the creation you make. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and then I took up, of course, Pilates. I start,
Right.
learning some new languages like Russian and German, just watching more podcasts, do things that normally I don't have time to do, and
Hmm.
redefine myself a bit. Put that reset button on, and
Right.
challenge the priority that normally during the fast pace of life that I'm in, because I'm always on the plane, I'm always on the train, I'm always
Hmm.
travel, be somewhere. And I want to just take this moment as a period of solitude, just saying, do I need all that? Do I need to travel? Do I travel when it's necessary, or do I,
Right.
or this is, just redefine the purpose and meaning of all my actions,
Hmm.
previously before I contracted virus. And then from the, of course, the medical point of view, I came, of course, to the understanding, because you had the virus, so you be able to understand how complexity this virus is, and how, of course,
Right.
the world is still trying to figure out what are the best solution for all of us moving forward before we getting into the new normal, the era of new
Hmm.
normal. And
Hmm.
like reading online about how all the patients share their symptoms, and you can somehow feel, like connected and related to that. um,
Right.
and we know when back in, like, say, maybe like back in 2003, when there was SARS, it's also
Right.
effectively killed a lot of people. I was a lot younger, so I didn't know how complexity it was. You
Right.
didn't read that much, and now the internet helped us to sort of like be in this battle together to fight a common enemy. And you
Right.
yourself experience the virus, so you know how complex it is and how the symptom, might still sustain. So me now, the doctor advised that I should not be doing any sport for at least two or
Okay.
three
No.
months. Yeah, because my
No.
lung is not. Yeah, because my lung is not fully recovered.
Okay.
So it would take me, let's say, another 2 3 months to do cardio, or to do any
Okay.
hardcore sport, or things that can,
Okay.
affect the heart rate. So there is
Right.
an after effect, of this
Okay.
virus. It really depends on, of course, your body, your immune
Right.
system. But you learn just to listen to your body a little bit more. You learn to you learn to rearrange, your lifestyle and the way of living, um, and to just to be better mentally and physically.
Right.
Yeah, so this is
So
what I thought
there's
most of it.
there's this. I don't know whether it's a fallacy. I do not know whether it's a myth. But they say, oh, some people say that COVID-19, when you catch it, and you're very young. You're
Yeah.
you're in your 20s, and a lot of people say, oh, it's like catching a very bad cold. So it's not like catching a really bad flu or
Yeah,
cold.
because for me personally, I had it quite bad. I felt like that, I thought it was just a normal symptom, a normal cold, fever, and then you just rest, take paracetamol, and then you're fine. But
Right.
evidently, from what I experienced, it was not just that, because you actually felt there was an episode where you just could not breathe. You ran out of breath. Your chest was like ripping apart. So it was in a way quite scary when you actually experience it from the inside. And of course, you have all this different information coming at you. So what I also learned from it is to select the information I've been given, and
Hmm.
to understand what is relevant for me and what can be
Right.
helpful for me during this time, because you have so many fake information or
Right.
inaccurate information coming at you. So the ability to stay calm and be selective with what you read and obtain from the media
Right.
as well, to help you to get back to this balance between confusion, between fear, when you experience this whole episode. And then, of
And
course,
did you share, sorry, did you share that experience with other people who are, or victims who are going through COVID-19? Did you all sort of get together to talk about it, or? share about?
I didn't have a chance yet, but I would love to,
Right.
because of course one time when I was in isolation, my the closest contact to me at that time was the frontliner, the medical
Right.
professions, and they actually taught me how to stay calm in some uncertain situation like this. And then of course word cannot express my deep gratitude, my
Hmm.
appreciation, my admiration to them, because they're always very calm and they have to make the right
Hmm.
decision, and they're tirelessly working, just to save life and to protect us. So that is, of course, and I just learned more from them on being a doctor, to, to always
Right.
stay completely collective in the situation, and then um, uh, that's why I said they are the bravery, their dedication, and their effort and their focus, absolute focus in this battle, common battle that we're fighting, is just something that is I'm deeply grateful, and
Right.
because I felt it, I felt the care, I felt the sincerity, I felt the the effort and the dedication, because
Mm.
they were the only family I had back then
Right.
when I was isolated. They would take care of me and ask me if, how do I feel. Yeah, so you understand that they have made their own sacrifice to be here and to take care of us, the patient, and to protect,
And I think,
the world.
sorry, and I think that, being the oldest child, you come from a family of three siblings.
Hmm.
Do you feel that sense of responsibility being the eldest in your family, that, somehow you have to battle through this? They're remote, they're not with you, they're in Vietnam, you're, somewhere in Europe. Do you feel that sort of, and I guess maybe being Asian, you have that sense of responsibility to your family and to your siblings?
Yeah, definitely, because of course, by being the youngest, I'm not expected, but I always feel like I'm like the second mom of the family, like you always will take care of your siblings away, and you have to check on them if when they go out, what time they get in, what's the
Right.
curfew, are they up to date with their deadlines, their university
Right.
degrees, what's going on in their love life, so you're sort of like doing
Right.
this a double job. It's like you practicing to be a mom already, so I felt like it
Right.
was it was also like a push and a motivation for me, because I still had to be there for them, for my family, and stood up
Mm.
for them in such difficult times, and I, of course, you can't take, your family for granted, because I was so far away, and of course you wish that you could be closer to home and be,
Of course.
be embraced. But of course I had to make the most of my situation, and that was the driving force for me to stay stronger, and to keep check on my family, to make sure that everything's okay, and to get
Would
better
you think of
myself. Yeah.
would you think of going back to Vietnam anytime soon? Because the situation in Vietnam has been great. I mean, they've had very few deaths. So if not, I don't even think
Zero. There we don't
zero deaths.
have. Yeah, zero so
Yeah, which
far.
is
So, uh,
incredible.
it's
And the
the medical
situation
process has been
is very
incredible. They really contain it amazingly, and the effort
right.
the medical professions, and the doctor and the nurse, and has been proven to a very new level, and internationally as well, has been recognized, and I feel that is
You,
I'm very proud as well, in a sense, and I it's such a blessing that that you're Vietnamese, and you see that your country is doing the best that they can,
I mean,
to protect the citizen. Yeah.
yeah, it's superb. So, are you thinking of going back to Vietnam anytime soon?
Yeah, not anytime soon, because of course, the once the situation to become a bit better, and when the world is get a bit used to the new normal, and commercial flights being operated and being implemented with new security measures, we make sure that
Right.
we feel safe, not only for us
Right.
but for others to fly, and to be in the same environment for such a long
Hmm.
flight. So I'm waiting to see if airlines or government guidelines will be issued different measure to help us, feel more confident and feel more safe when we travel. Then I would think of going back, but I don't have any plan yet for now. Yeah,
Okay. So, I'm sure you must miss your family, and they must miss you so
definitely.
much
Yeah,
during this
because of course
period.
family is the core to me. It's the heart, and it's the
Right.
make person how I am, and I'm super close to them. So hopefully that soon we'll get to reunite. And that feeling will just be super emotional, after all this hardship and the episode
Sure.
that we've all been through. Yeah, how's the Singapore doing, by the way? Are you guys
Singapore is
slowly
still in
getting back to
lockdown.
the still in
We're
lockdown?
we're
Yeah.
still in lockdown. We're opening our we call it the circuit breaker in Singapore,
Oh
and
yeah,
we're
I heard.
opening circuit breaker on Tuesday. So that's when phase one, where about 75% of the workforce go back into the office. But whoever can work from home, like people like myself and my
Yeah,
team in publishing, we continue to work from home. The
yeah. So
situation is,
so
is,
you and
is
the team,
bad,
yeah,
yeah, in terms of the numbers, because there's a
yeah,
lot of active testing in Singapore. So the numbers are very, very high. It's 30. It's, I think, if I'm not wrong, it's over 33,000 infected with COVID-19.
wow,
A huge proportion of that is with the foreign workers, the migrant workers that are in Singapore, and a lot is being done to help them to get through this.
yeah,
So in Singapore, it's very real. Like it's throughout our whole society. We're all very aware of it. When we get out of the house, we have to wear a mask. It's very real, and because we're such a small city, as
hmm
you've spent some time in Singapore.
yeah,
You know what a small city we are. We're very
exactly.
connected, which has been the success of Singapore. The fact we're so connected, but it's also in a way has pushed this virus so much part of our lives now because we're so close to each other. We all live in apartments. We're very, very close quarters with each other. So it's very fast to build up another cluster again in Singapore. And I think that's why we've been so stringent with our
Yeah, with
laws.
other rules.
Now going back to someone like yourself, you've been through the virus, you've battled through it, you come out of it, and knowing that you have the antibodies within yourself of COVID-19, does it make you feel more secure as you go about?
Um, in a way, because of course science hasn't proven yet if you can get reinfected or not. So me myself, I would take all the security measure that I can just to so that remain safe because you don't know the duration of this immunity. You can have the
Mm,
antibody for maybe 6 months, a year, or shorter. We still don't know yet. And then how the virus might mutate it already. And then because now every day you hear the different list of symptoms getting longer, is no longer just related to your respiratory system. Now it can
mhm.
become, it can generate it through skin rashes and taste, which
Has that been
I
affected?
actually experienced. Sorry.
Okay. So
Yes.
what did you experience?
So I experienced a completely loss of smell and taste. I could
Oh
not
wow.
taste my food at all. Everything sweet would taste bitter. So that's why
Oh
yeah, so I couldn't actually I eat as well. You ate just so you can, sort of like take in the
hmm
medication, but I could not enjoy my food for at least 6 weeks, because you don't have the taste.
right.
You only can smell things like really strong detergent or bleach, that will trigger your
Okay.
smell. But normal things like perfume or like um, any nature odor, I wasn't able to feel it, smell it at all. Yeah, so it was
Okay.
quite scary, because you felt like you lost all this sensorial experience in such
Yeah.
a short amount of time. Now I would say I'm 75%. I got it back, after recover,
Okay.
but it's surely not like before. You know what I mean? And I think it takes time. Same as with my cardiology, my heart and my lungs. It takes a bit of time to recover. So during this time of recovery, of course, I try to still practice a safe hygiene and boost my immunity as much as I can, because you never know what is yet to come. Yeah.
Do you know the strain of the virus that you caught?
I
Because
think
now
it's
there's
the
different strains.
yeah, so it's the strain. I think the SARS nCoV 2 is the official name. That was it was called, and then there might be another 2 or 3 strain coming after because I contracted um, during March. So 2 months after now, I think it might mutate it or change their name to something else. Yeah, and which is very interesting because science is still working for the common solution for us, which is eventually we need the vaccine, to be sure that we are cured from this. And it's such a one
Right.
one in a lifetime episode of a generation that we experience this. You know, the whole world is pausing, and
I know
to
it's incredible. I mean,
yeah,
having gone through this and you've learned a lot from it. What is your relationship now with fashion? Because unfortunately, you caught this unfortunate virus through the process of loving and consuming and observing fashion. What is your take on fashion right now?
I feel that fashion will always be there, and my love for fashion is always going to be there as well. But I think the fashion world and the fashion month and the fashion calendar will definitely be reorganized and
Hmm.
reinvented in some way. And it's very interesting to see, how different brands will try to make Fashion Week more sustainable, to make sure that, they will come across and tackle different questions like, will attendee be willing to travel like before? Will production company have enough time to think of idea? Do we all need 4 seasons in a year, or we can trim it down? Which some brand I'm sure has already been doing, and it's very
Hmm.
exciting to see this debate between physical and virtual show. Some brand would be like, we're going to go to a completely virtual, where other brands said we cannot live without a physical show. But these are both complementary, and is now rising this tension debate of
Right.
which direction should we go to. And it means that also the landscape of fashion is changing every day, and I can see that brand is starts exploring different mean of creativity platform, medium to promote the new
Hmm.
collection. Like, it can be a super cool interactive lookbook, or an amazing fashion video to promote the new collection, rather than just the simple conventional catwalk as usual.
Right.
So I'm really excited as well for all this enhancement and innovation of technology, and how brand might be collaborate together to invite customer, to participate in this procedure of creativity. Because I feel like after COVID, before the luxury world, the fashion was all about belongings, and then it
Yeah.
changed to the sense of being, But now it's all about doing, because we realize
Right.
how fragile we are and how fast the world can change. So it's all about what we can do in the amount of space, And then
Right.
I feel like we work our best under pressure, and problem solving has always been one of our greatest skill. So
Hmm.
to implement change and use change to think of new opportunity and implement change is something I'm sure that all the creative director, all the business leader in the fashion industry is already thinking, and I'm super
Has
excited to see what
anyone
is coming.
have the brands reached out to you since you've been well? Has
Yes,
Gucci or
yeah,
Saint Laurent reached out to you, and are they
yeah.
interacting with you in a different way?
They all
Is
been they invite me to some Zoom styling session. There was Louis Vuitton,
Okay.
there was YSL also, and there was Gucci. They all checked up on how I was doing, because they were of course aware of what I've been through. So of course they
Hmm.
were not bombarding me with information, but I can see there's all this amazing virtual Zoom style session that I was
Okay.
I saw. So you already see the company are innovating, and they start think of different way to captivate in this scene of very unpredictable future consumer behavior. And then I feel like it's also great to see that the next fashion calendar event will be all digital, which is
Yes.
couture. Paris Fashion
Yes.
Week couture in July will be purely virtual. So
Right.
and it's already, and it's gonna give us, maybe a hint of an idea of where the directions of the industry will go. And of course, it's very important to save young designer and save young business, that you're starting by supporting your local brand or your local businesses, and make maybe production of fashion show in the future smaller, in a more local scale. Yeah. So
Do you wear any Vietnamese designers? Do you support any Vietnamese designers out there?
yes, I have some a few good friends who are amazing at the design, like gowns and ready to wear. But I'm still in the process of learning and coming into sort of like contact with a few of them, and hopefully, in the future, I get the time to spend more at home, because 80% of my time during a year is spending abroad. So it's great for me
Right.
to learn more about the climate back there, and to promote young designers and people from my root, that they also participate in this creativity movement, and they're doing great. Like
It's amazing
mhm.
because we've had Vietnam participate in our New Gen competition,
Yeah,
which has now been going for over 6 years. And the
amazing.
creativity and the thought process that's coming out of Vietnam is incredible. We had a wonderful fashion designer last year that joined the contest, and
Yeah,
Lee Hong Son, and he has really impressed me with his sophistication and his point of view. And he actually told me, I said, you have a wonderful way of describing your clothes, and so detailed and so thoughtful. And he said, I actually learned English through the internet, through YouTube and watching videos and watching, tutorials. So it was really great to hear that spirit,
yeah. I think
and
it's all
how he
about self.
translated,
Yeah,
how
100%.
he
It's all about
translated
self.
his thoughts.
Yes, self-taught as well. A lot of them come self.
Yes,
They have
so
an
many of them.
amazing, and they're so hardworking, and the skill set, and
Mm,
the embroidery, the attention to details, and now it's all about storytelling as well. So
yes.
I've just noticed that, of course, in LVMH Price, there was also this year. There was also a couple of Vietnamese designer
Yes.
who are my really, really good friend, and their brand is doing amazing. And the story behind it, of course, is inspired from the old working Asian mums. The brand is called
Right.
Commission. I know you have heard of it. So, it's everything, all this pencil skirt, all the shirt is inspired by the past, how back in the
Right.
60s, 70s, how our mums were dressed to go to work and things like that. So I think there's great, great potential, and I'd love to hear more, learn more, and you know, raising awareness about the local designer and
Yeah,
how it will
I think
unfold.
Asian fashion design really needs,
Yeah,
thought leaders, and they need personalities like yourself, to help their cause. I think, times for young fashion design is very, very, very tough right now. No one's spending, everything's on hold, on hiatus. So I think they're finding it very tough in the fashion world. And on my side, we're doing a lot of things with our brands as well to try to promote young fashion talent in Asia, and hopefully we get that response and help as well from the brands. In terms of your interaction with brands, you said you had those Zoom styling sessions. Uh,
yeah.
there's no more balls. There's no more functions. There's no more parties right now. So what sort of fashion are you buying?
I mean, this fashion consumption is going to be very different to me because before I feel like it's more about belongings, like I said. Now it would
Right,
be more about doings. I would like to participate in a procedure of creating a product that I will buy, that be in terms of bearing in mind the sustainability, the product that you
right,
use, the procedure, how it's made to not, of course, be affected by a bad supply chain. And, so you
right,
become more aware, aware of what you're buying. You don't just, you just go and do compulsive buying behavior, as like some of us were always doing before, or what is on
right,
trend. It's more about, what you feel good and feel good in, and you can use it over and over again for a meaning and for a purpose. And I think that is the way luxury will go. It's going to be more participation than
right.
just having access or having ownership of an item. It's more about
Okay, that's
creating, yeah, this collective sort of like, yeah. And I would like to
lovely.
see, yeah, I'd like to see brand, explore on that idea, to create this dialogue between consumer and brand to hear exactly what do we like to buy and to participate in, and to help creativity to never stop flourish, yeah, in a better
Right.
way, yeah, for the world, yeah.
And the last question I'd like to ask before we leave today, it's been incredible talking to you. You're so insightful. You shared so much of the struggles that you've gone through, and being an Asian lady that lives in London and traveling through Europe, there's a lot of stigma now attached to Asians because of the virus, most unfortunately. What do you think in your position would you hope to change or hope to bring across? Because we do need collectively all the Asians and to collectively change that perception that the coronavirus is not an Asian virus, it's not a Chinese virus, and we need to change that. How do you feel that you can do in your small part to help that?
Yeah, and I feel like, because of course we first have to establish that this virus doesn't discriminate. It doesn't respect any border. It can happen to anyone, any race, no matter where you come from. So this in turns already, like help us to understand the bigger picture a bit more, like the notion of what happened back in March. And now it has been much different because of course we know there's a global crisis that requires a collective solution, that we have to work together for a common enemy. And stigmatization doesn't do us good, because it's only drive people to become more fearful, more confused, and they will even hide the disease to not be discriminated against, and they will even prevent people from seeking health care immediately if they know that there's something wrong just because of their race. And I think that is not positive thing at all, when it comes to stigmatization. So what I think what I think that we should aim for is, work together to use maybe even different creative medium to promote this systemization. Because I saw some, a lot of Asian artists to start doing videos or like songs with lyrics and hashtag, let's say, I'm not a virus, to promote this idea in a much more light-hearted way, so people become more understanding that this is not an Asian virus. And this virus really doesn't respect any border, no matter where you come from, you can it. So just wash your hand and don't point your fingers. That's why I think
But you haven't faced any negative racism in London or while you've been traveling through Europe so far?
I was actually I've actually just always been indoor and with limited contact, and of course I've always been geared up in completely fully geared when I be outdoor, so I'm, because of course the trauma and the episode I just experienced make me come aware of social distancing. So I try to like don't walk in crowded place, or if I go for a walk in the park, I would go very early in the morning or very late at night, just to get the daily dose of fresh air without having to interact with many people. Yeah.
Okay,
so that
great.
Is, I'm doing now.
Thank you so much,
Perfect.
Nga.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks for having me and having me to speak on the platform.
Has been great. As I said, guys out there, Nga went through the coronavirus. She's now recovering. She said she's 75% better. The symptoms
still working on that 25%. Yeah.
Got another 25%
to go. Yeah.
And the symptoms are very, very real, guys. It's not something to laugh about. I mean, at some point in her struggle to recover, she actually felt, death was knocking at her door. She couldn't breathe. She was on a ventilator. I mean, it's very, very real. And she's still recovering now. Her health is still not 100%, but we hope that it will get back to 100%. So guys, be safe, social distance, wash your hands, no kissing, no contact.
And don't point your fingers.
Just be aware of your surroundings. And thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Nga, for telling.
Thank you so much, Ken,
telling
for having me in the platform
today. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And have a wonderful weekend in London.
You too.
And we'll see you again soon. I think you got
probably
more
in
news
Singapore.
to share with us soon.
Yes, soon. I am very excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll share it on Harper's Bazaar when Nga has more news to share with us. And till then, have a wonderful day. Hearts to you, my darling.
You too, darling. Thank you so much for having me. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.
You too. Bye.